You're listening to the Her Money, Her Business podcast. This podcast is for women starting or growing their own business and features episodes about money management, reducing financial stress, and how to grow a profitable business that's built to last. We want to see women in business thriving. So if you avoid discussing money, lack confidence managing money, or want to struggle less while making money, then you're in the right place. Let's make finance fun and money matter. I'm your host, Sonia Belzarolo, and this is the Her Money, Her Business podcast. Welcome to episode 17. In this episode, I'm talking to online business mentor, Miranda Ivey. So before we get into the episode, I want you to know a little bit more about Miranda. If you're listening to this episode before the 31st of March 2022, then you'll want to know about Miranda's online auction. She's raising funds for flood relief. There are so many amazing auction items in the auction, and the money goes to such a wonderful cause, helping the flood victims from northern New South Wales area where Miranda lives herself. And she is donating all of the funds of the online auction to NORWACS, which is the Northern Rivers Women and Children's Services. So Miranda herself saw firsthand the effects of the floods because she lives in the area, and she's put together this fantastic online auction to raise money. So go check it out. The link to the auction is down in the show notes. And if you have to outbid me, then please do. So if you don't yet know Miranda, here's a quick snapshot. Miranda Ivey is the go-to online Australian business mentor, marketer, a podcaster, and an author. An internationally recognised Facebook ad management specialist, she's dedicated to helping businesses leverage their unique market position. Miranda is a Neuro-Linguistic Programming or an NLP coach, where she helps women tap into what's holding them back when it comes to running a business that they love. And when she's not behind her computer, you'll find Miranda roller skating, surfing, or hanging out with her two kids near her home in northern New South Wales. So if you follow Miranda on social media, or if you go check her out, you would definitely see lots of roller skating, surfing on her social media. So lots of fun. So Miranda and I in this episode talked about money. Obviously, we talked about Miranda's business journey, having fun in business, and that's something Miranda does a lot of, and having fun online and spending money to make money using Facebook ads. So let's right now jump into the episode. Hi Miranda, thank you so much for agreeing to be on the podcast. Exciting to have a chat to you.
I'm happy to be here. I've been listening to episodes, and I think I said it to you in a message. You've got such a nice authoritative voice. It's just coming across, just some simple strategies. I love it.
Well, that's good. Yes, I like to keep things simple and actionable. They're my two key things, which is good. That's good to hear. So when we actually sort of met online a while ago, when we were both doing the book writing course with Emma Franklin Bell. So we've both got our books out in the world now, so that's exciting. And it's really great how we can just meet online, and then, sort of things come about where we can chat on a podcast and do all that sort of stuff. It's really great that we can connect that way these days. Makes business a lot easier. And you are, I know you do lots of things. Obviously in the bio we talked about what you, in the intro, what you do. But today I wanted to talk about two things. So I really wanted to talk to you about the fun in business and making business fun. So, the podcast is generally about making finance fun, and I really wanted to chat a lot about that and about business as well, because when I see you online, you're always having fun. And I think, I think that really comes across as, it doesn't mean that business is not serious and it's not doing what it needs to do, but it doesn't need to be not fun. And I think if you're not having fun in your business, then, you've probably got some questions that you're asking yourself in the background anyway. But also, because you're a Facebook ads expert, I think it would be really good, as you suggested, to talk about spending money to make money as well, because obviously we're all about, making money as well. So to start with, why don't we get into the two questions I've been asking all the guests? So that is, how can we as women make finance fun? What's your perspective on that?
Oh, such a juicy question. And especially when I was listening to some of the episodes that you've already done, I was like, great answers. But for me, finance, and particularly business finance. I've had like the separate bank accounts for years now, and watching those numbers has always been fun for me.
Yeah.
But I do love, for me, making finance fun is about watching it, but also knowing what I'm going to invest in next. I love personal development.
Yes. Yeah.
I love, like we said, we did like Emma Franklin Bell's course. I've done so many courses because one of my favorite things about being in business is learning. Like learning new things about myself, about others, what I can do differently. So that's what I think is fun. And really, but I do love watching my numbers and also just having that separate bank account. So I've got my finances and then the family finances.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes. I just recorded a podcast before this about reconciling, and definitely one of the biggest things is having a separate bank account so you can really just make sure that you can easily keep on top of your numbers and all that sort of stuff. So, yeah.
I'm surprised at how many people don't.
Yeah.
And when I've spoken to women, they've said, oh, it's because I don't think my business is really a business, or I don't think this. And to me, I'm like, this is how you make it real.
Yeah.
Like, this is how you start to know what you're bringing in, know what you've got for yourself. And if you are paying yourself a wage or, however, whatever it is to begin with, you've got it separate.
Yeah, that's right. And also for people who don't consider themselves numbers people, which is lots of sort of women out there, unfortunately, in business right now, even just having a separate business bank account makes your life easier because you don't have to separate out all the stuff that's personal. It's just all the business is there, and it's it's easier to keep track of, I think, than having personal stuff mixed in there as well. It makes it easier.
That just made me think of, I actually started my business journey with a friend. We had a macrame business, an online macrame business, as well as the markets. And thinking about, we both invested, I think it was a mighty sum of $600 each into this business to begin with. But we set up the bank account separately because we wanted to know what was coming in and what was coming out. But also in terms of making finance fun, we do the markets, like the Byron Bay markets, the Bangalore markets, and how we'd pay ourselves would be like, right, what do you want to buy at the markets today? And we'd always get a really nice lunch and some snacks, but then we'd be like, okay, what's your pick for the market? And that was how we made it fun. We weren't making heaps and heaps of money, but to us that was it started me off on my own business, so I've got to thank it for that.
Yeah, exactly. No, that's great. Yeah, I mean, anything around rewards and stuff, obviously adds to the fun of what you're doing and gives you motivation and all those sorts of things. Yeah.
I love a good celebratory, end of financial year type thing. Even if it's me going out by myself, it's like, no, I deserve that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's all part of it, I think. And so why does money matter to you in your business? What do you feel like it does for you as a business owner? I mean, we've obviously talked about investing and that sort of thing.
Yeah, it definitely does. And I mean, it's going to flow on. We'll talk about ad spend as well, but it just opens up those doors. I think when we run our own businesses, we can get so caught up in, what's happening with my clients and that type of thing. But if we're able to sort of look at it, bigger picture, grander scale, not just like week to week, maybe people pay you monthly, maybe people pay you quarterly. We need to sort of look at it in a bigger picture. Not sure if I've fully answered that question in terms of money mattering. I mean, obviously it's, how we do anything in business.
Yeah. And, that question can be how money matters to you personally, or how it matters to what you're wanting to do in the world. I mean, there's many different layers to why money matters, really. And I think, and I think that leads in a little bit as well to what you're doing at the moment, and what obviously you've been going through with the floods, etc., from where you live, and the online auction that you've got happening. I was really excited to go on there last night. I got your email that you sent out with all the auction items and things, so I went and bid on a couple of things. There's some great stuff in there.
Yeah, I mean, it's been amazing, the response that I've had from the online community that I'm a part of. And I guess it's another reason why money does matter is to be able to take time out of my business and know that things are okay and I can invest my time into this online auction. I kind of am very overwhelmed by the generosity of so many people, so many females in the business space for giving up their time or places in their courses. I've just even had like a gift hamper from someone, which I'm very excited about. And lots of them are former clients or current clients, and they've all just gone, yes, how can I help? Which I think is just amazing.
It's amazing how a community comes together and all that. The whole thing has just been amazing to see the community getting behind everyone, and it's beautiful that you're able to do something because you're in the thick of it, seeing all of this actually happening in real life. You know, we're just seeing it on the news, really. So, yeah, it's amazing. And so this podcast will come out, I think, around the 22nd, and your auction goes till the 31st of March.
Yeah,
so
awesome.
If anyone's listening and it's before the 31st, then they can jump over to your website. So it's your website /auction, is it?
Yes, right? I've just created that link and it's through an awesome easy access platform called Air Auctioneer, but so many amazing things. There's even like a $7,000 value course.
I saw that, yes, that was amazing. Yeah, so that's exciting. So I hope you'll raise lots of money with that, and I hope my bids win something. We'll see how we go.
I bid on a few things too. I'm like, oh, that looks good.
So many good things on there. It's great, yeah. So let's talk about a little bit more about making or keeping the fun alive in business. So you obviously have lots of fun on your socials, and you seem to be enjoying what you're doing. So what do you think your secret is around making sure that you're bringing fun to your business?
That's such a lovely question. And I mean, I have to admit, it's not always fun, let's face it. No. We all have our ups and downs and ins and outs and all the things. Yeah. But it is something that I know people think of me when they think of it, and also something that I do try and add into my business. And, I do have a bit of a saying, if it's not fun, it's not worth doing. Yeah. So I do love to bring that lightness to people. I think for me, sort of, as I said, I had this macrame business that was very fun. And then moving into my first iteration of my current business with my business partner, we sort of had these, as much as we were quite fun people, we had this idea of how we needed to present online, and, we sort of needed to hide that maybe we were just starting out and we didn't really know what we were doing. But we wanted to come off as a bigger business and all of these things, and watched all the things from the overseas American entrepreneurs, and great guidance, great foundation for all of this. But I think as I've been going through my business journey, it's like, well, is that really working for me? Is it like lighting me up inside? And I think part of what I do is to help others light themselves up. Yeah. And for them to understand what they're bringing to the table, because we can get so caught up in our own head. We've all moved to working from home in the past couple of years. I've been working from home for many years before that.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And you can get so caught up in what people are going to think of me. Oh, what am I going to post on socials this week? Oh, it's got to look like this. And it's it's got to look like you. I mean, for many of us, and I think many of your listeners, our business is us.
Yeah, that's right.
There's no one else turning up to the Zoom calls, as much as that perfectly, make-upped person. Yeah. She's not turning up to my Zoom calls every week with my clients. She's not doing my work for me. So I just want to bring that, and I want to bring just and I've had feedback from clients and people I've done work with. They're just like, I was being, I was feeling worried, or I was feeling self-conscious, or, about my life, and then I saw you roller skating and I was like, it's all good.
Yeah, exactly. No, that's good. And I think there's a lot more authenticity, and I think you said on one of your podcasts, personality marketing. It's because it's people just want to see us as the leader in our business and who we're presenting. If they're going to be dealing with our business and buying from us, they want to know who we are and what we do. And I think that when you get over that hurdle of I don't need to be perfect online, then it just makes it so much easier to do what you do.
Exactly. And I think we just sort of, because we are fed so many social media images, and there's people with big followings who do look perfect all the time. But there's people with big followings who have very successful businesses with small following, with smaller follow numbers, and they're having a great time too.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yes. There are certainly parts of business that are serious and that you need to knuckle down, but it doesn't need to be that all of the time. We don't need to overthink things all of the time.
Yeah, I don't think so. And you hit the, like, when you just said, people need to see us as leaders. And that's just right. And showing up and being the real you on socials or in your marketing is being a leader.
And with your journey, so you mentioned your journey through business. So what's your money journey been like? What's your relationship with money been over the years of the different businesses you've built?
Evolved and continues to evolve. I definitely, particularly like the macrame, which was my macrame business, that was pretty simple. Someone pays for goods, you buy that's the wholesale version of it. It wasn't too hard. What was really interesting with that was, even when we were getting to the point where we were actually outsourcing the creation of the macrame hangings and still making, we'd done our numbers, so we're actually still making a profit on it, which was awesome. And then with Ange, neither of us loved money. Like, she was sort of more of like looking after the books. That was her experience. So I was like, have we got money to do this thing? So I think even in the past 6 months, I've been really looking at the money a lot more in my business, but also just, it's so easy to get fixated in the money in the bank version of it, when in actual fact, like, tracking things like proposals and future funds and looking more at that number is really exciting. You can go, hey, I did $30,000 in proposals this month. Like, it might not pay off right this month and they might not say yes, but that to me is such a good indicator of the actual state of the business as well. And it's also like, well, if they aren't saying yes, what's happening there? So my journey, and I've done work on it, and I think it continues to evolve. I've loved listening to some of your episodes as well. I'm like, I haven't thought of that. I think for me it is around tracking, and just sort of looking at, if I am feeling that sort of stagnant feeling. I'm in a predominantly service-based business at the moment, so it's looking at, okay, well, what's coming in later? Like, what's coming in next? Who am I talking to? What can I do if, it's like, okay, I haven't, put out that many proposals this month. Well, why not? What can I do next?
And that's sort of that moving into that stage of business after many years of being in business, where you're trying to avoid the peaks and the troughs, trying to forward plan a little bit to get a little bit more stable in things. And I think those sorts of things just come over time and experience. It's not something you're probably thinking about on day one when you start a business for the first time, but as you sort of move through your business journey, there's sort of things that you start looking at, like you say, at your stage of business. But yes, definitely tracking of whatever you can in your business, what's important to you is one of the keys, I think, of the foundations to knowing what's coming in and what's going out, really. And what do you think is the opposite of fun in business? Because I know recently I'm in your Facebook group, and I know that you had mentioned maybe a month or two ago that you had stopped doing something. Was it group coaching maybe, or something like that? And my question is, were the reasons around maybe doing that is that it wasn't aligning with what you wanted to do at the moment? Or how do you make decisions to not continue to offer things? How do you do that in your business?
Great question. It's funny with the group coaching, like, I loved that group and the people who were in it right up until the very end. We had a very fun last call, and I could have easily kept it going. It just was, the reason why I shut it down was because it started off as a 3-month program. Back in the start of lockdown in April 2020, a lot of people's businesses were going online for the first time. People were like, oh my God, how am I going to sell Pilates classes? I've got to go online. So that was the first iteration of it. And then people didn't want to leave. So I was like, okay, cool, we'll do a month-to-month thing. And then I started selling this like a 6-month thing, and then a 12-month. And then, and during that time, obviously the people involved, their businesses evolved.
Yes.
So as much as it had started off as, hey, let's get some leads in your business, let's get you feeling better about your marketing, showing up online, it's like, oh, let me help you with a press release or write a proposal. And I mean, that was my own like, boundaries need to come in, because that's a big thing with financial profitability too, particularly when, I mean, I don't want to hang shit on women, but we like to give.
We do.
Like,
yes, we do.
It's just, most of us, it's in our nature. It's who we are, and we love to give. So I was just really noticing myself, as much as I loved supporting the women who were still in the group, that the boundaries were slipping.
Yeah.
And I loved this. I read Rachel Rodgers' We Can All Be Millionaires over summer.
Yes,
and one of the
I
things
had that audio book. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, one of the things that really stuck to me was about boundaries, and how women with strong boundaries, as much as they may be seen as mean or bitchy, they actually make more money. So I really loved that. And I just sort of was thinking, like, as much as I love this group, I think it's time to release them into the world in some ways, even though they were like, no, but also to go, okay, well, what do I want to offer? And I don't think it was feeling like, to me, the opposite of fun would probably be heavy or dreading. And I never dreaded the calls. I loved the group. I loved, one of my favorite things in my business and that I love about the work that I do is honestly off the cuff marketing advice, is to go, tell me, standing up on stage and getting peppered by questions after a conference speech is like, bring it on. So coaching really suits me. But during this time, I've also invested in some extra training. So Neuro-Linguistic Programming. So wanting to that, I love doing that as well. So how can I'm just like taking some time out, I guess, to go, well, how can I incorporate that with the marketing? Because so many women do need help with visibility, showing up online, feeling good about their business, all the things that I'm living. So I'm just sort of spending some time to just allow what happens.
Yeah. And I think it's, it's a motivating thing to know that, someone who's running a business like yourself is willing to make a decision and say, I've got to decide that this is not right now, and take some time out and have a think about what's next. I think lots of people would continue on probably longer than, perhaps they should. And, women in particular, like we've talked about, I think this boundaries thing comes up so often for us as women in business. It just filters into everything we do, and we put these ideas on us of, we'll be seen as bitchy or as not serving if we stop doing these things. Whereas if a man did that, he wouldn't be seen as that at all, probably in our eyes. So we're putting these sort of ideas on ourselves when in fact your community, like you said, understood, and they were, they were
so happy for me.
Yeah, exactly.
But also, like you said, one of them said, thank you. You've given me permission to change my business as well, which I thought was amazing. She's like, you saying that. But also on the boundaries thing, we're coming up, end of last year, close to Christmas, was all talking about, everyone needed a break. We were all pretty burnt out. 2021 was a big year for a lot of people, lots of extra responsibility, lots of curveballs, all the things. And we're talking about it. We're talking about putting your holiday dates on your website or on your email. And someone was like, I don't want to do that. And I was like, what do you think of a woman who emails you and tells you what her dates are? What do you think of her? And the response was, well, I respect that.
Yeah.
I respect her and her boundaries. And I was like, well, let's just flip that around. You can do that too. And but we don't want to, I know for years, like, because I work, I still have young children. So I didn't want to let people know.
Yeah.
I wasn't working on Mondays and Fridays. So I'll still email. But it's so important, and I look back on that and I'm like, I wish I had been stronger in those boundaries, because it's more profitable, you're more focused, you've got less, even if you let people know your working hours and you've got less time, well, you're going to make it happen.
Yeah, it happens in that time. Absolutely. Yes. And people respect boundaries when you give them the boundaries.
Yeah.
So let's talk about spending money to make money.
Oh, yes.
Your favorite topic, probably.
Oh, I mean,
One
this
of
has
them.
come from, obviously, I do Facebook ads.
Yeah.
And over the years, particularly when Ange and I were in business together, we ran a lot of workshops. And, even so, I've probably taken a similar vein online, teaching people who want to dip their toe in the water of Facebook ads.
Yeah.
But overcoming this fear of, oh my goodness, Facebook's going to take my $200 or my $50 or my $20 and run away with it, and I'm never going to see anything ever again, is a really big, real fear for so many people. So it's more, Facebook ads is around numbers too. So, it's looking at it and going, well, what can you invest? What do you feel comfortable spending right now?
Yeah.
And then let's look at, the information we have available, the data, what kind of results are you going to get? And then once you've run ads, you look at what results you did get and go, great, well, what have I learned from that? Or what do I want to do next? But it's really a big thing, particularly if you're starting in business or you're new to this advertising thing, like the thought of spending money that may see a return. That you don't know what it's going to be. It's scary.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think lots of people, when they start a business are very risk adverse. And so, that risk of exactly what you say, spend money, will I make the money or won't I make the money? But I think, you have a very logical way of putting all this information together. I've listened to the last couple of podcasts that you've done around this particular topic, and it's all very logical information, I think. So, you don't just go and whack some money on the wrong thing to advertise, and I'm sure you can talk to that more, or putting money into Facebook advertising where you don't have the back end set up properly to send people to the right place and to lead them through the right things to get them to do what you want them to do, whether it's click buy or whatever. So I think there's so many bits and pieces that if you just follow along and put the right things in place, then, and like you say, then you're testing, etc., then it doesn't have to be a throwing money at Facebook and supporting Mark's whatever.
Trust me, there's some soul searching going on at the moment. I was like, I watched something the other day and I was like, I turned to my husband. I was like, it's too late to change my career on Facebook. Anyway, I mean, I do see it as a tool. In much the same way that we might have used, I'm a big fan of local media. I don't want people to pull their ads out of local newspapers or radio. Vitally important. But back in the day we'd grab our $500 display ad and we'd pop it up there and we wouldn't know what happened.
Exactly.
Whereas now we get some pretty cool data out of Facebook to go, how many people went to my website? Did they take any actions? Why didn't they take any actions? Instead of thinking it's all our fault. Nobody's signing up to something or buying something from us. It must be my fault. People must not like me or something.
That's it.
In actual fact, maybe you're making it really hard for them to pay your money. Maybe it's really hard. They don't really understand what they're signing up for, and we don't really want to sign up to everything these days.
And I think some of that background work as well, then I would imagine, is things like, targeting the right audience.
And the fun fact about that, less and less important. Facebook's, and I know I mentioned it on my podcast episodes, but Facebook's algorithm these days knows so much about us, minimum of about 1 million data points on all of us. So it really comes down to more about images and copy and what it is to make people excited. I've just seen in some stats today, that the targeting didn't make as much difference as I thought.
Does Facebook worry about the targeting for you from those data points, and you worry about what it looks like?
So essentially you've got what I'd call cold audiences, so people who don't know who you are, and your warm audiences where you're retargeting people. And Facebook probably a year or so ago came out with an extra feature where essentially you tick a box and it says, reach more people, Facebook algorithm will find these more people and basically disregard your targeting. So it's saying by ticking that box, just let us find the best people. Stop trying to control the algorithm. So I look at it, okay, what do we have control over? We've got how much money we're spending, our budget, and what we're putting into the ad itself.
Okay, cool.
But yeah, even just understanding a basic thing of like, well, what kind of results would you get? $20 or $300? And I guess it's probably even like the invitation to come on this show, maybe even inspire that Facebook ads on a small budget series. Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah. And so what, if someone had never done a Facebook ad before and they wanted to do something, do you suggest people get help, or should they trial and error themselves, or where should they start?
That's a great question. I think it just depends on what they're, looking at, like we said about financials, like what's the long-term goal?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, you can hit that boost post button and hope for the best and spend $50 and then wonder why nothing happened.
Yeah.
Or if you're like, my long-term goal is to grow my email list so that I can launch a course later in the year, or I want to sell a membership, or I want more people to book into my services, then that's when you're looking at it from like a bigger picture. So yeah, I think sort of getting some sort of understanding, you can have a go. And I know people who've done quite well, even just sort of having a tinker around, checking out some YouTube videos, that type of thing. Like there's heaps of free information out there. But I think, like I said, it really comes down to that long-term, what am I willing to, and I don't think you ever lose, as probably with any advertising, not just Facebook and Instagram ads, but you're always going to learn something. You're always going to learn, did people like that thing that I put out? Did they click on it? Did they take action? Okay, if not, why not? What can I do?
Yeah. And so if you're in testing phase, let's say, is spending a little bit less money to trial a couple of different things, like whether that be a popular post, a video, and maybe a lead magnet or something, I don't know, and try a few different things and see what works better. Is it better to spend a little bit less money and just figure out what's working first?
If you're going to do that, I'd probably do them like separately. So just do one for a couple of weeks or a month, because when we talk about low budgets, that's often people who want to spend $5 or $10 a day.
Yes.
So yeah, it just depends on what your goals are. In terms of like, I just want more people to know about me. Something even like a video, like a video ad where they get to see you, get to know you. I can get quite technical about why it's so good, but it's just a good visibility thing. And that running a video ad in conjunction with other types of ads can work really well.
Yeah, cool. Yes. Because I think, if, like you said, if you've got an idea on what you're trying to do, then it's probably not just about, I want more followers, but what do we want those followers to do? Do we want, are we trying to get more to, like you say, sell a course later, get them into a membership later, or whatever that may be, and then sort of tailoring some information around that, I suppose, so it's building their visibility or knowledge of you. Yeah,
totally. And I mean, in the talks that I speak with most people about like building their list, like their email list and their followers in that way, they'll often say to me, it's 5 months until someone turns into a customer, or it's 12 months, or that person has been on my list for 3 years until she finally bought something. So if anything, it's about, well, what can you do now, even if it is a little bit of an investment that will pay off down the track. And I mean, as I always like to joke, it's an absolute waste of money if you never talk to them ever again on emails. So don't do that if you don't want to send emails.
Yes, exactly. And I think you said on your podcast as well, it's very unlikely that someone's going to buy something expensive from your ad the first time in particular. If you're known, perhaps it might change things. So using advertising perhaps in the beginning as more of a visibility tool and an email building, list building tool, etc. And then later on, when you've built that information through emails, etc., then there's something sold later. Yeah, I think a lot of people are probably sitting there thinking, well, if I do advertising on Facebook, I need to be selling something right now. But it's not that at all.
Not necessarily. I mean, it comes down to that, like, it depends on the industry, obviously, but, you know, that value giving and becoming known and being a leader and showing up regularly, that will build a sustainable growth business. In terms of, should I be selling something? I mean, yeah, you've got your e-commerce brands, they are selling something, but it is as much as what I love people to do when it comes to ads, if they are sort of at this like, oh, I think I might start using them in my business, is start to notice what advertising works on them. Why did you click on that ad? What got your attention about that image? What was it about that video that you watched a little bit longer than you normally do? Just being a bit aware of that, because we are being advertised to constantly. So we are in constant market research mode too.
That's it.
One thing that I do love to just make people aware of, because it can also be quite disheartening, because the Facebook algorithm knows so much about us. If we are out there clicking on competitors or clicking on people who do similar stuff to us, all of a sudden we're going to see a lot of ads like that. And it can be like, oh my God, everyone's doing this already. Or it could be, oh great, there's a market for it, you know, there's people out there who want this. So just being aware of what's working on you is a great thing. And like you said, if you haven't bought a $500 program or product from an ad recently, chances are your audience won't either.
Yes, exactly. No, that I really like that advice. I think that's very practical advice for people to start with, at least. Anything else that we should know, like the do's, the top couple of do's and don'ts around Facebook advertising that people should know if they're going to give it a go?
Going in with your eyes wide open is a big one. If you are going to, like, if you're like, I really want to make a go of it, and I do want to invest, you know, hundreds or if not thousands of dollars, then get some advice, whether it's doing a program or doing sessions, that type of thing. But as I said in that, like the latest podcast episode I put out, I really love people understanding the full customer journey when it comes to Facebook ads. It's not just all about the ad. The ad is where we get people to stop, scroll, to click. So that's why we always need to put our best foot forward. Why should people stop? Crazy, I know. And then also making that experience on your website or whatever that next step is really user friendly. So making sure it's mobile friendly, it's easy to understand, not like, oh, click 17 times and then you'll get the thing, or what am I signing up for again? And also just having some fun with it. Often it is like the weird image or the the strange screenshot that gets the attention. So we don't, you know, and I've done this many times myself in my own ads or clients. It's like, we all want to look smart and professional holding our computer, but like, no, it's the weird ads that get the attention.
The stand out. I noticed that you do lots of that because I see your ads coming up in my feed too, and I see that you do, you know, it replicates how you are in your business, really, isn't it? It's very natural, and it's not the styled professional photo shoot shots that are on your ads generally. They don't work as well. I mean, I keep on testing it because sometimes people have beautiful shots, and it does depend on the audience, but I often find it is those off the cuff photo with your dog or dogs and children win every time. But not everyone wants to advertise with their children, which I completely understand. But just the sort of bit more normal, bit more like, what's the image actually telling people? You've got a computer, cool. So we all do. So. That's it. Well, great. This has been a really varied chat, I think, but that's good. We've covered lots of different topics. So any last thoughts on fun in business before we wrap up?
Just have a go. If you've, you know, one of my favorite like recent client stories is I was working with this 60-year-old yoga therapist, and she started, after working with me, she was doing reels, Instagram reels every Friday. And she realized that, she felt a bit dorky, felt a bit silly, but they were actually really fun to make. And she had a lot of fun with it. So I think if we, you know, sort of make it into a game, and it's not about numbers, not about followers, but it's you actually having a bit of fun. I mean, these are creative outlets, creative platforms. Let's use it like that. Doesn't always have to be serious and intelligent sounding.
Yeah, exactly.
Because clearly I sounded really intelligent then. So.
Yeah, you did, absolutely. No, that's good. Yes, Reels is something I've been playing around with. I need to just get my head around it and just get in there and have a play. But yes, I'm looking forward to using that creative side, because I think the same thing. Anything like Reels or little videos and things, particularly for this podcast, because it's about making finance fun, then I really want to bring that fun and creative side of me to something like, Reels and Insta stories, etc. So it's something I'm playing with, for the next little while. So it's good.
Awesome.
Yay.
I love it.
Yeah. Excellent. Well, thank you so much for being here. It's been great to chat to you, and good luck with the auction. I'm excited to see how it goes. Yeah, great. Thanks, Miranda. Inspired to take action? Head on over to our website, blossomingbusiness.com.au, for this episode's show notes and access to all of our resources. You've been listening to the Her Money, Her Business podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, please head over to iTunes and leave us a review. I'm Sonia Belzarolo, and until next time, keep striving to make finance fun and money matter.